In this build, all you need to do is throw one grenade and then snap your fingers and everything dies. This fusion grenade and incinerator snap combo is honestly so broken, but it gets even better when we add in the 650% damage increase that we're getting from Winter's Guile. Not only does this 650% increase allow our melees to delete everything and anything, but we are also going to trigger ignitions, which are also increased by 650%. So it's safe to say nothing is going to survive this full combo. Yo, what's going on guys? It's G Miners here, and in this video, we are going over a broken melee build for Warlocks, which is going to have two unique ways to play, depending on the melee you choose to run. I've been wanting to make a Winter's Guile build for Solar ever since I made the Arc version. This is going to play exactly like the Titan Consecration build, except I personally think this is slightly easier to use, and we are also going to be able to incorporate Touch of Flame fusion grenades, which also hit like a truck and apply a ton of scorch stacks. With just one melee and a fusion, this is going to potentially add up to 210 scorch stacks, which is completely overkill, but that should also mean that we could potentially trigger double ignitions if we melee first and then throw a grenade afterwards. This will obviously depend on how much of the incinerator snap hits, but if you do decide to use this with Celestial Fire, this build will also still be able to trigger an ignition, so no matter which way you go, the build should feel just as strong. Let's start off by taking a look at the Solar subclass layout to see exactly what is needed for this build to come together. For the Incinerator Snap variation of the build, I like to run Well of Radiance and then Healing Rifts. We're going to be playing much more aggressive and on the ground, so these help keep us alive. Incinerator Snap is obviously going to be needed, and as I mentioned, this is going to apply 20 Scorch stacks at base and then 30 when we beef it up. But keep in mind, this is per projectile, and we're firing 5 of these out. So if everything lands on one enemy, this is 100 to 150 Scorch stacks, which will automatically trigger an ignition. Fusion grenades, on the other hand, are also going to deal a massive amount of damage, and then these also apply 40 stacks at base, and again, this goes up to 60 when we beef it up later in the build. For our aspects, first up is going to be Heat Rises. This allows us to consume our grenade, and it gives us the ability to float in the air. And then while floating, we can fire weapons and use abilities without our glide deactivating. Getting kills extends this timer, and proccing Heat Rises with grenades also applies Cure. However, what we want this for is the melee energy we get back per kill while airborne. We are registered as airborne anytime our feet are off the ground, so we can just ignore the regular Heat Rises and spam jump as we get kills for more melee energy back. Touch of Flame, on the other hand, is going to beef up our fusion grenades to explode twice. This is not going to increase scorch stacks for our fusion, but it doubles their damage, so this makes taking out champs and bosses super easy. And then looking at our fragments, first up, we are running Ember of Empyrean. Now, the main reason that I do have this on is because if we opt to run healing grenades instead of the fusions, this is going to allow us to maintain restoration ×2 as long as we keep getting melee kills. Ember of Char is going to be used because we are getting a bunch of ignitions and ignition kills, so this is going to spread scorch stacks to enemies that don't die to the ignitions. This is just going to flat out apply 40 stacks at base, and again, it's going to go up to 60 with Ember of Ashes, so we can easily chain ignitions to tanky enemies by using this and then spamming melees or grenades. Ember of Searing is going to give us increased amounts of melee energy back when killing scorched targets. Since both Incinerator Snap and Celestial Fire apply Scorch, this should always give melee energy back on kill, along with the melee energy provided from Heat Rises. And then last up, we do have Ember of Ashes. This increases scorch stacks we apply by 50%, so that is why I mentioned the base and the increased stack values for each part of this build that relies on Scorch. Ember of Ashes is super important if you want ignitions to happen frequently. Exotic armor wise, as I mentioned, all you need for this build to hit for increased damage is going to be Winter's Guile. This is going to provide a buff that stacks that increases our melee damage. Each stack is going to last 5 seconds, and then you either need to get another kill so you can go up to the next stack, or you refresh it once you reach the final stack. This stacks 5 total times, and the damage values are on screen now. These range from 130% at just a single kill, all the way up to 650% at 5 kills. This will make our melees hit 650% harder, and as I mentioned, this will also do the exact same thing to our ignitions that proc from melee hits. So imagine a base ignition going off, but dealing the damage of over 7 separate ignitions. Other than that, you are going to want some mods to make this build work as consistently as it does in this gameplay. First is going to be heavy-handed. As long as we have one stack of Charged with Light, when using our melee ability, we will always get 50% of the melee straight back. This will make it so that we only ever need to get 1 or 2 kills with our melee ability, and we will always have it up. So that I can actually get Charged with Light, I am running Blast Radius. Double kills with a grenade launcher give me 1 stack of Charged with Light, and then I also have on stacks, so that this doubles the amount of Charged with Light stacks I get. This means Blast Radius now gives me 2 stacks. Lastly, Supercharged increases the max amount of Charged with Light stacks I can get. This goes from 2 stacks to 4 stacks, which means I can use my melee 4 times in a row before I need to get some more grenade launcher kills. I took this build into the Legend Lost sector to see if I could burst kill some champs, and even without both of the champion mods and a very non-ideal setup where I couldn't get a lot of melees, I was able to get a few melee kills, toss a fusion, use Incinerator Snap, and then watch champs get deleted. I definitely think this will work best in a team setting where you can focus slightly more on champs while not getting focused by everything at once, and even for GMs where a ton of ad clear is needed, like in Devil's Lair or Exodus Crash. If you manage to only get 1 or 2 melee kills before proccing an ignition, in most cases, that's going to be plenty enough damage to kill. And keep in mind, the stack values are going to technically be better than something like Worm Gods, because at 2 kills, we are getting a much higher of an increase. I feel like Winter's Guile would be such a strong exotic if we ever got a half decent melee for Void. So let me know in the comments if you guys do want to see more Warlock melee builds in the future. Other than that, if I am on Celestial Fire, I tend to float up in the air and then just get kills from a bit further back. This is obviously not going to give me nearly as many ignitions, but Celestial Fire does have way more range and can focus better against a single target. And then with Incinerator Snap, I just play up close like it's a shotgun, and then make sure to constantly bunny hop around while getting kills so that the energy comes back. This build is actually super easy to use, and it's very self-sufficient. Let me know your thoughts on the build in the comments below, and also feel free to stop by my Twitch and say what's up over there. I stream almost every night, and we do a bunch of low mans and speedruns as well. I do have a Discord server if you guys want to join the community over there too. Anyways, that's all for this video. As always, have a good one. Peace.